And welcome everybody to another episode of More Explorers, Please. My name is Jim. We are talking Disney movies that I haven't seen before. And with me today to help me talk about this is Derek and Gregory from D&G Explorers. Gentlemen.
Hello. Good morning.
Welcome from the West Coast.
Got our big gold cup of coffee.
Oh. Yes, modified dilly dilly.
Hey, I had my French toast with ketchup today.
Yeah.
I am doing good.
And I had
it French toast with ketchup.
Oh yeah,
and eggs with ketchup on it, and I had syrup like normal people do.
Okay, I understand the eggs, but the French toast, I've never had that.
I don't put it has pepper in the mixture, so it's a more of a savory one.
Because that makes it all better.
It does.
You covered it. It looked like a bloody mess.
I've just never done that. I mean, certainly on scrambled eggs,
It's
done
okay.
that my whole life.
I like syrup better.
But I mean, the only difference is the bread, right?
Exactly.
So,
He doesn't like
it makes sense.
syrup on eggs. I love syrup on eggs.
Let's welcome the first few people that are here. Life Adventure Show, today's champion. Thank you so much for being here. Jason and Bridget from Uper Wisdom Videos. Good to see you as well. We've got my sister is here. Happy Saturday to you. Pepper Tree Villa is here. Thank you guys so much for tuning in.
What is that tune from?
PTV.
That's theirs.
Oh, I thought it was like from a show though, and then they started to use it.
And you know what?
Pepper Tree Villa show.
He said it so annoyingly. What is that noise from?
Did not.
Alex Brunner, good to see you.
It sounds like the NBC jingle kind of
A
thing.
little bit, but it's Pepper Tree Villa.
Yes, it's Pepper Tree Villa. There you go.
Blue Nose, welcome to the show. Alyssa Stenberg, good to see you as well. I guess I should show the list of movies that I talked about a few weeks ago. I don't even know where it is. Oh, okay, here it is. All right, there it is. Let me maybe zoom in a little bit so I can.
Oh, you wrote that music? Okay.
Okay. Wait, that's an original composition?
I know.
Right. Okay, so a few weeks ago on a live stream that I had done, I made a list of 15, actually more than 15 movies that I hadn't seen before. And this was the list. At the bottom here was all of those straight to video sequels like Lion King 2 and Beauty and the Beast 2 and Emperor's New Groove 2, all those things. So, Greg, it was your idea that we go through this list and watch these videos and then do a series of live streams talking about them. So in yellow, I've gone ahead and marked the ones I have seen now. So I had started with The Rocketeer and Sleeping Beauty. We didn't do a show. Hi. We didn't do a show on those, but then we went and we watched Treasure Island from 1950 and Bambi, and that was our first show last week. And this week, we watched Dumbo and The Sword and the Stone. Wait a minute. I forgot to make Sword and the Stone yellow. That should be yellow.
It doesn't look very yellow.
So today, on today's show, we're talking The Sword and the Stone and Dumbo, the original Dumbo, the one from 1941. Had you guys seen these movies before?
Yes. Sword of the Stone, it's been a long time. I don't know if I ever saw the whole Sword of the Stone. Yeah, I have. But both of those been a long time. Right, yeah.
Sword and Stone. I probably within the last 5 years I've seen both of them.
Okay. I don't recall ever seeing these movies. I will say, and we could talk about this later, there was a part of The Sword in the Stone that seemed familiar to me. So I may have seen that in a compilation, a clip compilation or something.
I think I know what you're talking about because
okay, we'll get to that at the time. Should we talk about Dumbo first?
Sure.
Okay, so let me call that up. All right, here we go. Dumbo from 1941. What was this in the order of Disney's animated feature films?
Wait,
This is
sorry, the fourth.
number 5. 4?
Yeah, the fourth.
4? Okay.
Because
It
Bambi
was go ahead. It was preceded by Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, Pinocchio, and Fantasia.
Yeah.
Okay. This clocks in at 1 hour and 3 minutes. So this is not a long movie, but it seemed long.
That's a whopping long time. No.
Is there anything you want to say before I start making fun of it?
Wow.
Yeah, actually, I have
a background.
I do have some
story.
background on it because my first impression of it was careful, this is not
Little Dumbo.
That's in the foreground. I don't want to correct you, but
yeah, there you go. You don't want to see Dumbo's fanning.
where's that from? I'm sorry, where's that from?
It's one of the careful, it's going to pop off.
Oh.
It's one of the Disney what is it? Disney classics, the ones that were in like the green boxes. I forgot what they call animated classics or something like that. It was in there. Okay, so while Greg's doing show and tell, so my first impression of this movie was how cartoony it looked, and it really didn't, to me, have the feel of a in-depth animated feature that Disney had produced. And there's reasons for that. So I'm going to bring that up. Dumbo was released on October 23rd, 1941 to recoup the financial losses of Fantasia. It was a deliberate pursuit of simplicity and economy for Disney. At 60 minutes, it is one of Disney's shortest animated features.
How long? At what?
64 minutes.
Oh. So add an extra minute.
Yeah. Dumbo is based upon a children's story written by Helen Aberson Mayer and Harold Pearl. It was first, the children's book was first brought to attention of Walt Disney in late 1939 by Disney's head of merchandise licensing, Kay Kamen. Originally, it was intended to be a short film. However, Disney soon found that the only way to do justice to the book was to make it a feature-length film. At the time, the Disney studio was in serious financial trouble due to the war in Europe, which caused Pinocchio and Fantasia to fail at the box office, with the result that Dumbo was intended to be a low-budget feature designed to bring revenue to the studio. One more thing about the cost on it, which I thought was pretty interesting. From Disney's perspective, Dumbo required none of the special effects that had slowed down production and grew the budgets of Pinocchio, Fantasia, and Bambi. When the film went into production in early 1941, orders were given to keep the film simple and inexpensive. As a result, the characters' designs are simpler, background paintings are less detailed, and the number of held cells or frames were used in the character animation. Less of them or less detailed. Although the film is more cartoony than previous Disney films, the animators brought elephants and other animals into the studio to study their movement. So,
wow.
Yeah. So it definitely does have. That was one of the comments I was going to make.
What about the? Oh, go back in it, please. What were we going to say?
My first impression of it is this didn't feel like a normal Disney feature-length animated feature, and now it makes sense.
What about the casting? Did you see if there was anybody that they used from other movies? Because I'm pretty sure some of those voices, like the main gossiping elephant, I don't think they even had names, but I think her voice was used in Alice in Wonderland as one of the flowers.
None of the voice actors for Dumbo received screen credit, much like Snow White and Pinocchio. Timothy Mouse was voiced by Edward Brophy, or is it Brophy? A character actor known for portraying gangsters. He has no other known animated voice credit.
I could see that. He did kind of sound that way.
The circus director was voiced by Herman Bling, a German-American character remembered for his wild-eyed facial expressions. The elephants were voiced by Verma Felton, who also voiced the fairy godmother in Cinderella.
Oh, wow. Oh, I could see that. Yeah, that's okay.
She was also the Queen of Hearts in Alice in the Wonderland.
Yeah.
And Aunt Sarah in Lady and the Tramp.
Oh my gosh, she did a lot.
Yeah, she also did Flora of the Three Good Fairies in Sleeping Beauty and Winifred the Elephant in the Jungle Book.
Oh wow, she played another elephant.
Other voice actors included perennial Sterling Holloway in appearing as Mr. Stork, who also voiced Winnie the Pooh, which you had made that comment. Jim, are we going over what you were talking about earlier? Should we stop here with characters, or are we going to cover that later, or is this okay?
Whatever.
Okay. And then also voiced Kaa in the Jungle Book and the Cheshire Cat in Alice in Wonderland. And we'll stop there.
But it's not the same guy that played Winnie the Pooh nowadays.
Yeah, it's a different character.
Yeah, okay. I didn't show this really quick. So this is actually, the train is inside. And you can see Dumbo in there. So when you turn it, Dumbo goes around, not the train. I thought the train moved, but he doesn't. I mean, it doesn't. So, but it's handcrafted, it looks like, and very old.
What's the tune?
That one clown.
Okay.
Entry of the Gladiators is the name.
I didn't know it was called that.
That's intense.
Yep.
Cool. Well, thank you. Let me welcome some people in. Baron Sunshine, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for watching. James Ryan, good to see you. Thank you for being here. Sherry, awesome. Sunsets Travel, thank you so much for tuning in. Jonathan Chong as well. Blue Nose, I think I said hi to Blue Nose already.
We definitely loves to touch these.
Monarch Moments, welcome. Thank you so much for being here. Big Disney fan, good to see you. Nautical Nurse Nancy is also here. Thank you so much, everybody. Disney Nerd Herders, driving but listening to us, I guess. He didn't specify.
These were very dusty. You didn't need it.
Ben from Pepper Tree Villa is also here. Thank you, everybody. MGM Travel, MGM Family Travel. Thank you so much for being here. Good to see you. We're talking Dumbo right now because I had never seen it. So I wrote down some notes. We watched the movie, wrote down some notes. Short movie. It starts out with a legion of storks delivering baby animals to all of the animals of this traveling circus. And my immediate thought was, there's no way this circus can fiscally survive with this influx of new baby animals. They're going to go bankrupt. They've got to feed them. They've got to house them. They've got to clean up. There's just no way. But as I found out while watching the movie, they could afford anything they wanted. Do you want a 700-story building light on fire? You got it. This circus, I don't know how they did it, could afford whatever they wanted. I say that in jest, of course. Mom, welcome to the show. And Christy's here. Christy's Corner, welcome.
Well, to cut costs, I think that building was made out of cardboard because they easily slammed right through it at that one point. So I don't know.
You're right. Yeah. Who knows? Who knows? Here's one interesting thing. When I was fortunate enough to go to Anaheim back in August, and we went to Disneyland, and never having seen Dumbo before, one of the rides we all went on, we went Pepper Tree Villa, Bob and Ashley, Juan Rodriguez, I think, was with us. We went on the what's the name of the ride? The Casey's Junior.
Yeah.
What is it called?
Casey Junior
Circus, right?
Circus train.
Yes, yes.
We all went on that one. Yeah.
That's right. And it was adorable, very cute ride, but I had no context. I may have been told what it was from, and I just didn't remember or wasn't listening. But that ride is based on Dumbo, the circus train from Dumbo. So the song being played throughout that attraction is the Casey Jr. song from the movie. Do either of you want to sing it right now?
Casey Jr. running down the track with a smoky stack. Something like
I don't
that.
know how it goes.
That's it.
I could make
Uncanny,
it.
you nailed it.
Like 'em.
What's
Tammy
that?
asking what that ding is. That's from Pepper Villa. So when they start their videos, they'll say Pepper Villa, and it'll go doom doom doom.
Yes.
And let's not forget the fact that that train can talk.
Oh, that's right. And at the time when I was on the ride, I thought, oh, that's sinister. That sounds weird. But it's the train, of course, saying, I think I can. I think I can. I thought I could. I thought I could.
Speaking of talking, did you realize that Dumbo did not have one single word in that entire movie?
He cried. He had like wordish crying, but it wasn't really words. It sounded like a human when he cried.
Wordish crying. Yes. I did notice that. That was odd. That was an interesting choice. There were a number of interesting choices.
And the mother talked one time through the whole movie. Jumbo Jr.
Just to say what his name was. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I know. And all of the mean people, all of the mean characters.
Oh, they had a lot.
They had gossiper. They were gossiping.
Oh, they were awful. Awful. I hated those elephants.
Yeah.
Yeah, how could they have, like, they went from barely fitting in there to having, when they went inside, they had all this room in there.
Like 8 elephants in there.
That's right. And what's funny is the four gossiping elephants were all in one very small compartment.
Yeah.
And Mrs. Jumbo got like the rest of the car. So it was a pretty sweet deal for her, I guess.
As it should be. She had the baby.
She was the nicest one. Maybe, the circus owners knew the social dynamic going on there. Yeah, they were awful. They were meant to be awful elephants,
I love the part where she pulled the pin and the thing still lands on them, and you just hear the one going, oh, because it's hitting her in the face.
There is at the beginning of the movie, I said there's a legion of storks delivering baby animals to all the circus animals. Yeah, a bear and tigers and kangaroos. They all got their babies. And Mrs. Jumbo is there waiting for her stork delivery, and it doesn't come. And by the way, these storks just drop the animals. Now they have little parachutes, and then when they land perfectly. And then the blanket that all the baby animals are in, it unravels and then blows away magically. And that's it. Then the baby is joined with mom, and it's very sweet and it's very cute. But Mrs. Jumbo Elephant does not get a delivery, not right away anyway. So in the next scene, I believe, a stork does deliver a package to her, but doesn't just drop it, actually delivers it. And it's really first class delivery. Because he delivers the package, and then he's got a spiel that he has to read through. He has like 2 of them. He goes, this baby, eyes of blue, whatever he says. And then he goes, just let her open the baby package. Can you just shut up and let her open the blanket?
Oh, please.
But so there's that. And then she had to sign for it.
Little X.
What's going on?
He was more detailed than all the other storks, actually.
I guess, like I said,
Everything.
yes, must have been a super special delivery that she ordered. I don't know how that works.
It's late.
But then, and then that's where we see Dumbo or Jumbo Jr. at the beginning, and then it's revealed he has these enormously huge ears for an elephant, and then all of the gossiping elephants are dismayed and clutching their pearls or whatever they did, and it's but I might argue that Dumbo's ears were more normal for an elephant than every other elephant. They seem to have abnormally small ears.
They were Indian elephants.
Is that what it was?
Indian elephants have smaller ears than the African.
I thought he was adorable looking, wrapped up in his ears when they took when they unfolded the sheet, and I just thought, how did he fit in that little thing? And then I told Derek that at the beginning when the stork was on top of the train, he literally leans onto Dumbo on support while he's wrapped up and puts his elbow like right into the package. I'm like, oh my God, he's elbowing Dumbo right now. And he's just using him as support. Like, okay, what do I do now? I just thought that's crazy.
Child abuse.
That's wrong. More like animal, but yeah, okay.
I don't want to go through every single bit of the movie, but just the gossiping elephants shun. They label him Dumbo instead of Jumbo, and Mama Jumbo is super sad, and so we've got this dynamic that these aren't good elephants. Why wouldn't they accept him? Because if he is a bit different, he needs your love more than the average elephant does. So they're bad.
It's good messages to learn. Like, differences are good. Embrace differences. Don't hate because people are different. I understand those good messages.
I thought that too. What else? Okay, so what else do I? Okay, so excuse me. The circus arrives to their destination, and we hear a song. I think the song is called "Happy Hearted Roustabouts," and it's the circus employees putting together the circus. They're pitching the big circus tent, and they're driving in stakes, and their song is about how hard their life is, but they're happy to do it because they're dumb and they can't get any other jobs or something like that. But what you see in the scene is that the circus animals are doing most of the work. They're doing the hardest stuff.
Elephants especially.
Including brand new baby Dumbo, who's stitching together the two canvases to put together the tent. And the elephants and the camels, they're all putting together. They're doing the hard work. So these slackers of roustabouts really have it kind of sweet, because all the caged animals are doing the lion's share of the work, pun intended. Yeah. So again, more characters that just aren't great their character isn't great. Again, pun intended. Yeah. And what did you think of the music in this movie?
It was catchy. I was really surprised that I thought they took the crow scene out. Apparently they didn't. So I don't know what the whole hullabaloo was about with them saying that they deleted something from Dumbo, because I don't think I saw anything deleted. They kept all the crow stuff in. I don't find anything offensive with the whole scene.
I was going to ask you about that because I had forgotten, but as soon as the crows came up on screen, I remembered, oh, this is problematic. And then I thought that's the Disney Plus version of this movie. Something is cut out.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what that was, but you're telling me no, it's actually all in there.
Yeah, it looked like everything was in there. So I don't know what they would have cut out, if anything. There was no bad joke or anything in there that I remember.
Well, it's the depiction of the crows. It's not hard to figure out what these crows are caricatures of. So it is very cringy. I mean, I've seen worse, but it's not great. I mean, why? Like, I was asking, why did they have to do that? But I guess they felt like what you're talking about. They felt it was not offensive enough to cut out of their Disney Plus version, and they actually are some of the only good-hearted characters in the movie.
Yeah.
They're helping Dumbo and Timothy the mouse, right?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. So they're the ones that actually help him learn how to fly.
It was actually a pretty sad scene when Timothy the mouse was explaining what Dumbo was going through in his life, and you could you could see like the tears pouring out of the crows, and just the way he was explaining it and everything, it makes you think like people in life go through similar things. So I found it, kind of a really sad scene, actually.
I think the song, is it Baby Mine? Is that the name of the song?
That was pretty sad too.
That's really an emotional part of it. Blaine?
That was. And
welcome.
Blaine, welcome. Have you guys seen the Disney family sing-alongs that they've released?
With Katy Perry doing it in the
Baby Mine. And again, because I hadn't seen Dumbo, I had never heard it before. But that particular episode was on Mother's Day, so that's why she sang that for that show, and it was very nice.
Sang that song before too.
One of the differences, and I'm sorry, I was looking at a comment from Tammy that said Timothy the Mouse isn't in the remake of the Tim Burton one, but in the book
they allude to him a little, or they you see a mouse in there that kind of portrays him, but it's not really.
In the original book, though, it was a red robin that was the one. They didn't have a mouse in it, and Disney decided to switch it into a mouse.
I like the mouse better. It makes more sense because elephants are supposed to be afraid of mice. I don't know why. I guess they
are they really? Is that just a cartoon thing?
No, I think elephants are afraid of mice because I think they can go up the trunk. They're so small
because they're apt to do that.
No, but I heard something where they can go up the trunk and it can suffocate an elephant. I don't know how true that is, but it kind of makes sense. I don't know. I digress.
Okay, so now here's a part of the movie that was difficult. It wasn't difficult to watch, but in the scene, the circus is in town, and there's like 6 young boys that are harassing Dumbo. They're harassing the elephants.
Yeah,
and they're able to get in the elephant enclosure with them and do whatever they want.
And no one's paying attention.
No one's stopping them.
No one's paying attention. That seems like a lawsuit waiting to happen. But Mama Jumbo, tries to protect Dumbo and is deemed out of control. And then the circus workers subdue her and chain her, and then ultimately lock her, put her in what they call solitary confinement.
Yes.
And that's very sad. She's got you see her in isolation, and she's very sad, of course. And what that reminded me of is just a couple weeks ago, my wife and I, we watched the the documentary about SeaWorld. I forget what it's called, but it's the one that really highlighted all the problems with SeaWorld. And I forget what it's called. But in that documentary, they showed how when a baby whale was born and then they took it away from its mother, how the mother would just wail, no pun intended, would just like cry and cry and cry.
Oh my gosh.
For long periods of time, or just be motionless. They were just devastated. They're depressed, and it's super sad, and it makes you angry. And why would anybody do that? And that's what this reminded me of. You know, they tore Dumbo and Jumbo away from each other, and it reminded me of watching the SeaWorld documentary. And I thought, man,
it was called White something, wasn't it? White Castle or something like that? White?
No, I thought it was Blackfish.
Or was it?
Oh, maybe it was something like that. Yeah. I don't recall for sure.
Yeah, that's pretty sad. But
yeah.
And not only that, it was when he was by himself, and he was sitting there, and Dumbo was separated from his mom, and then the other elephants turned their back on him.
That was too much.
The 4 suddenly became 8. And
no, it was a circle actually
of 8 of them.
Yeah.
And then that's when Timothy came in to help him out. So
yes, they wouldn't allow Dumbo to eat.
That's horrible.
It is super bad.
Notice him, and they like move their butts together and so they block him.
It is interesting. I don't know where they kept those elephants, all those extra elephants. But later on, when the clowns are devising a new act for the circus, they talk about a pyramid. Or no, it wasn't the clowns; it was the ringmaster, and they talk about a pyramid of elephants, and they mentioned 17 elephants. Like, where are they being kept? But
you can thank huh?
What? I'm sorry. What did you say?
I said you can thank Timothy the Mouse for putting all those ideas into the ringmaster and putting Dumbo in danger high up on a building, and then the clowns make it even higher for Dumbo. So it's all Timothy.
Yes. Why? First of all, why are clowns coming up with these super dangerous? They're clearly drunkards. They're not good people. The only good characters are Dumbo, Jumbo, Timothy, and the crows, right? Yeah. Those are the only good characters. Everybody else is, every other character is not great.
I like the clown with the elephant mask on. It has an elephant mask on him, and he has like a dress, and he's wailing, "Save my baby!" He's like running back and forth.
So the great idea that Timothy puts into the ringmaster's mind as he's sleeping is that Dumbo is the climax of this new act. Like, they bring out Dumbo to jump on a springboard and then
yes,
be on the top of the pyramid
of elephants.
On top of the elephant pyramid. Oh, because when it's showtime, because Dumbo has such large ears, he of course stumbles over the ears, and long story short, the entire circus tent collapses.
Yes.
So my question is, do they not rehearse? Do they just throw out the baby elephant, never having done any of this before, working out these kinks?
It's a one-time deal, Jim. It's a one-time deal.
I guess. Rachel Loves Disney is here. Welcome to the show. Good to see you.
We were critiquing that so much. I told Derek, how could an elephant sit on her trunk when it's straight out, and they're constantly rolling on the ball, and then she lifts the butt up and says, "Out of my way, assassin," calling a little Dumbo an assassin when there's like 8 elephants on top of each other. I mean, it was just crazy.
And then they vow, let's vow, ladies, Dumbo is no longer an elephant. Like, what?
I don't mean to tear up the movie, but it's just funny.
I do.
Huh?
I do.
It's a Disney classic. It's
Yeah,
the
it's
whole
a Disney classic. But yeah, I just further showing how mean they are. What a what a tough life Dumbo has, and Jumbo, of course, and yeah, it's very little joy in this movie, I guess, is my point. There's so much of it is downtrodden.
But the ending is nice. Did you see Rachel's comment for you, Jim?
Oh, thank you, Rachel. Yes. Speaking of, I have a PO box now.
Oh, cool.
And I sent that along to Rachel, so I'll be getting my first PO box delivery from Rachel. So thank you very much. Okay, what else? Yeah, there were. I was hoping to like Dumbo more than I did, but I don't want this all to be terribly negative. I did like watching the movie, but I did have some notes.
We like the ending too.
The ending, yes. However, I'll skip to that then.
You don't have to.
Oh, I wrote it down. Okay. Dumbo the Flying Elephant. That's what I knew Dumbo as. We don't get to see Dumbo fly until 5 minutes before the movie ends. So all of that joy we could have been experiencing, they didn't bother. I mean, that's not the bulk of the movie. That's the climax of the movie. We get to see Dumbo fly. But I've always, for my whole life, I've known Dumbo to be the flying elephant. So,
yeah.
Let's see more of that. There was one scene, pretty much, where he's flying. In contrast, so we have 5 minutes of Dumbo flying. In contrast, Mama Jumbo is punished for 42 minutes of the movie. Mama Jumbo is in isolation for 42 minutes, but we get to see Dumbo fly for 5. I'm just saying, maybe balance that out a bit more. Maybe, it's like, and I was thinking how storytelling and movie making has gotten more sophisticated or better, or the fan service has gotten more sophisticated. And I was thinking of a movie, say, like Iron Man, where we know what Iron Man's going to do. Before Tony Stark becomes Iron Man, we understand what Iron Man is all about and what Iron Man can do. So instead of waiting for Iron Man to be all Iron Man can be the last 5 minutes of the movie, they do it halfway into the movie. So we've got the whole other half of the movie to enjoy Iron Man kicking butt in his Iron Man suit, as opposed to Dumbo. There's a wasted opportunity there for much more joy. That's my opinion. What do you think? I don't.
Tammy says have an isolation ride instead of Dumbo the Flying Elephant ride.
What kind of ride would that be? They do have an isolation ride. It's called Casey Jr.'s Train when you're in the cage in the back of the train.
Oh, that's right. That's what Bob rode in the cage, right? Bob and Ashley?
I think I've been in there once, and it was very hard to fit in there as an adult. I don't know how they can get so many kids in there.
It was like that elephant at the when they were trying to get him into the
watch
car.
It
Greg was like the elephant. You had to like shove him.
Wow.
To get in there.
I'm not that
Disney
big.
Dan, welcome
Disney Dan.
I didn't, because one, it was based on the book, so I've never read the book, so I couldn't tell you how it went, but they changed very little.
Probably no more than 20 pages in a book. In that book, I'm sure.
No, they said there was very little
Short
they
novel.
changed from the original screenplay on it. They just tweaked a few things. But to me, it just makes Dumbo even more endearing. It makes you love him more. And then you hit it on the head. He's the flying elephant. I think that's what we are left with. The happy moments, the end, the train.
I like the revenge that he got with the peanuts, shooting them at all the bad people and then the bad elephants. I was like, yes, at least he got some kind of relief from that.
I literally thought I fell asleep at the end because the mother was in confinement, and then he flies, and then this last scene shows the train going away, and Dumbo and Mrs. Jumbo are at the back, and I'm thinking, wait a minute, she's now celebrated. She was considered insane, and all of a sudden, how did she get out?
But what did I tell you? I said that they realized that she was protecting him because people were making fun of him, and now that he's famous, they're thinking, okay, well, now we know why she was doing what she was doing. She's not mad, and she was protecting him because people were making fun of him. So I think they found the wrong in their ways.
I don't agree with that. I think
I think another missed opportunity is once Dumbo flies and everybody realizes Dumbo can fly, instead of seeing him become a star, like wowing, making crowds happy and making Mama Jumbo happy, we get a 30-second montage of newspaper headlines. And I felt cheated again out of the joy that Dumbo's life has now improved. And we're cheated out of that. We don't get to see that. We get to see 42 minutes of Mama Jumbo in isolation, and we get 30 seconds of Dumbo being the star of the circus. I just thought, come on. That's all we get? You're giving us breadcrumbs here. Oh, well.
Hi,
and Jonathan Chong is right. It was made in different times and everything. And they were probably trying to keep the cost and the length of the movie low and everything.
Simplicity is the name of the game.
And then the gossiping elephants were like singing and waving their trunks with flags and happy and everything. Probably because Dumbo's making more money for the circus and they're getting like royalties and stuff from it. I don't know. Or maybe a bigger pen for 4 elephants together. Who knows?
So budget issues led to the shortening of the film. However, there is a 4-minute hallucination sequence.
Yeah, I thought that was a little bit too long.
Derek thought that was like Portobello Road type of thing.
It was so the clowns are celebrating, and one of their bottles of booze accidentally gets dumped into a bucket of water that Timothy and Dumbo drink. And so what is that booze, first of all?
Champagne.
I thought that was that he
absinthe
was
or liquid peyote. I don't know what it was, but it was enough to make an elephant hallucinate. So what's it doing to those clowns?
Yeah. It was like Heffalumps and Woozles also from Winnie the Pooh type of a thing also.
Yes. So what was the purpose of the hallucination scene? Just to get them up in the tree, I guess?
It made him fly at some point in more ways than one. But yeah.
That's when Timothy realized he could fly.
Because they were up in a tree. He must have flew at some point and they were both too drunk to notice. So he was flying basically.
It was an interesting choice to have such a long hallucination scene. And I attribute it to, because it's an animated feature film and they're not bound by the constraints of live action. There's only so much you can do in live action. For example, if you want somebody to fly, you've got to wire them up and then hide the wires and all that. And it's a whole thing. If you want something or somebody to fly in an animated movie, you just draw it. You know what I mean? So if you want to see anything, you can just draw it. And I have to feel that's kind of what Fantasia was about. This hallucination scene in Dumbo was about. It was just animators letting their imaginations run wild and creating things on screen that audiences wouldn't normally otherwise get to see. These are brand new experiences for the movie-going audience. At least that's what I'm guessing.
It was kind of a fun segment. And Ben is right. They used it in Fantasmic, so it was perfect for that also.
Interesting. So we talked about the crows. They kept the crow scene in. They helped him fly. Yeah, and then the end of the movie is kind of abrupt. Like I said, a 30-second montage of newspaper headlines showing Timothy is his manager and signs a Hollywood contract, and Dumbo's the star of the show, and then you just see the circus train with a brand new car, like an updated modern Amtrak style
kind of
car.
like a monorail. It looked like the monorail a little bit.
A little bit, yeah. You're right. And Mama Jumbo's in the back, and Dumbo, I guess there's no room for him because he's forced to fly. So he's still. How are they treating him still?
At some point.
But overall, scale of 1 to 10, 10 being best, what would you give Dumbo?
I mean, I grew up with it. I remember seeing it when I was little, even though it came out way before I was born. But I'd probably say between an 8 and a 9, just because it is a Disney classic. It's a fun movie. They don't make movies like that anymore. I mean, I'm not gonna be. I mean, we've been critical about it, but for my scoring, I'm not gonna be critical. I would say 8 or 9, just nostalgic reasons, and it's a fun movie.
All right.
The character of Dumbo, I think I love. He's one of my favorite characters. I also think about reading about Walt Disney. He would watch when they were making this, he would start bawling when he was watching it. So I always kind of associate this movie a lot with Walt Disney. But in terms of the flow, I like it, but I'd probably give it a 6.
Interesting. I'm going to agree with this here. I think I'm going to give it a 5. And, because I didn't really grow up with it. I had the Golden Book, so I was familiar with the story, but I had never seen the movie, and I thought overall, not enough joy throughout the movie. It's so, it's kind of dark, and there's a payoff at the end, but it was kind of too little of that. I wanted more joy in the movie. So Dumbo's super cute also. I agree with that. But yeah, a 5 for me, just having seen it as an adult and not having grown up with the film itself. I'm just basing it on how I felt watching it yesterday. And I did watch it for the first time yesterday. Yeah, 5, I suppose.
So you watched both movies yesterday for the first
I did. I watched both movies.
You waited for the last minute.
At least they're fresh in his mind. We had Downscale join us. So welcome, Downscale.
Oh, welcome, Downscale. Thank you for being here.
I would.
Yes.
So I would say I would not challenge you, but I would say I would watch the Tim Burton version. You don't have to do a thing on live if you don't want to about it, but I would just let us know, unless you want to do it later on video, what you think about that, because I think you're going to get a lot more from that version as far as detail and story than you will the cartoon.
Yeah,
and we liked it. It was fun. It was a good movie.
Yeah, I had heard bad things about that, but
it's kind of dark because it's Tim Burton. But the story is still good.
I'm not a huge Tim Burton fan. But the movies that I've liked from Tim Burton was Dumbo and Alice in Wonderland. I really like
both Alice in Wonderlands. Well, he didn't do the second one.
Yeah, but I really like those two. Dumbo, I really enjoyed. I thought it was good.
Oh, and that's good to know.
Tim Burton fan.
All right. Let's move on to our second movie, The Sword in the Stone. This is from 1963. It is 1 hour and 20 minutes long. And again, I had never seen this movie before. At least I couldn't remember having ever seen this movie. I watched it last night. I took some notes. You guys have seen this before?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Any backstory, anything you want to talk about prior to?
I must have saw this in the 70s as a re-release when I lived in England, because I remember seeing it before. I was surprised that it was released in 1963. It was released Christmas Day, 1963. So that, because in my mind I was thinking, yeah, that was in the 70s, not in the highlight of Disney movies. But then when I thought, wait a minute, that's not true. So it's based on a book, The Sword in the Stone by T.H. White. Disney first acquired the film rights to the novel in 1939, and they didn't release it until 1963. Various attempts at developing the film would last 2 decades before actual production on the film officially began. It was also, and I didn't know this, The Sword in the Stone was the last animated film from Walt Disney Productions to be produced by Walt Disney before his death on December 15th, 1966. Bill Peet wrote the story for the film, while the songs were written and composed by the Sherman Brothers. This marked the first contribution of the Sherman Brothers to the music in a Disney film, and they would later write the music for other Disney films like Mary Poppins, The Jungle Book, Aristocats, and others down the line. It was released on Christmas Day to mixed reviews, though it was a box office success. It was released on March 25th as a I must have saw it in 1983. It was re-released to theaters on March 25th, 1983 on a double bill with Winnie the Pooh and A Day for Eeyore. I didn't know this. I don't know if this is true because we're talking about Wikipedia. A live-action remake of the film directed by Juan Carlos Fresnadillo entered development in 2015 and will be released on Disney+. I think...
so it's taken 5 years for them to make this movie. When are they going to release it?
Yeah. And I think that's enough to go on. Cool.
There's been a lot of variations of like King Arthur and Merlin and all that, but I like the Disney version.
And I was telling Greg that the young King Arthur reminded me of Mr. Sunshine Nation. Jim. I go, hey,
had you told me that sooner, I would have gotten a side-by-side picture. Kay Atwood says, way back in the day, they used to do summer movies. They sold tickets to the school and would play movies at the theaters. I saw a bunch that way. That's cool.
That's cool.
I still did that.
Although it did not look like Jim when his eyes were
a couple of times
bugging out of his head like this. He had like his cup of coffee and he was looking like this. I'm like, what is wrong with his eyes? He looked like he's stoned or something.
Well, oddly enough, that's exactly how I look when I drink coffee. So.
It wasn't called A Sword in the Stone. It was A Sword and He's Stoned.
Oh my gosh. All right. Family show. No, that's wrong.
So, again, I had never seen this movie before. I was a bit familiar with the legend of King Arthur. Now, is it a stone or is it an anvil? Is it an anvil on a stone? Is it an anvil made of stone? What's going on?
It's a stone.
They did say anvil, but you're right.
Yeah. It's what you see in the
stone anvil.
It's what you see in front of the carousel at Disneyland. Do they have that at Walt Disney World at Magic Kingdom?
They do. Yes.
Okay.
It's actually the same one.
Barely pull it.
It's the same one, but they fly it back and forth because it's the actual one that they used. King Arthur actually used. It's the original one.
You can barely pull it up, and then somehow they unlock it and take it out every once in a while. So one of these days, someone's really going to pull it out, and then what's going to happen?
They'll be king of Disney.
And there you go. They'll break the lock.
Griswold Family Vacay. Welcome.
Hello, Danny. Thanks for stopping by. Okay, so the movie begins as so many Disney movies begin with a book, and then the book opens and then we get into the cartoon. That seemed to be
I like that.
I do too.
Yeah.
They seem to do that with the British
A
English stories.
soft-spoken woman's voice is saying the beginning of the movie. I don't know. It's soothing.
I'm going to start my my vlogs that way with a book.
You should have like
a time.
You should have like a smoker's voice.
And then more sunshine.
Once upon a time.
Oh my gosh! Stop.
Once upon a time, Jim got some fast passes for test track. Let's take a look.
Good.
It's done.
Voices. That's cool.
I'm doing that. Okay, so the beginning of the story is King of England dies. There's no heir, so it throws England into chaos because there's no new king or queen. So how did the sword get in the stone?
It was
by
divine intervention
from the heavens.
Okay. And And there's an inscription on there that says whoever pulls this sword is going to be the King of England. And the word anvil is on that inscription as well. So again, and I still don't know, is it an anvil made of metal? Is it an anvil made of stone? Is it a metal anvil on a stone?
I think the stone sounds better.
Oh, it absolutely does.
The sword and the anvil. That just
yeah, that's lame. But if I remember watching the movie Excalibur when I was a kid, and there's the scene of it's a bit different because you see a guy driving Excalibur into a stone, right? I think. Do you remember that? Have you seen that?
I haven't seen it, but I have to watch it now.
I thought I saw it, but I don't remember if I did.
I think it stars a younger Helen Mirren and others. I don't know. So anyway, yeah. So nobody. It's been years and years and years. Nobody's pulled the sword from the stone, and it's been forgotten. It's in a small garden somewhere in London, just sitting there. And there's still no King of England, correct? Yeah, because they're waiting for somebody to pull the sword from the stone. Why they don't have people every day trying to pull the sword from the stone, I don't really know.
Maybe they tried.
Yeah.
But then later on, they tried again, so you never know.
The one thing as we get into the story that hit me towards the end, I was thinking, wait a minute, there's some American accents in here. And I'll see if I can find it because they did mention something about that. That was one of the, we might have to come back to that. I'll keep looking for it. And
well, speaking of the voice, Arthur, the young boy who's 11 or 12 years old, and that's Arthur right there on the screen. Everybody has a British accent except him. He has an American accent, which I assume was to appease the American audience. Perhaps they didn't want absolutely every character in the movie to have a British accent for some reason. So they gave Arthur an American accent. But the character of Arthur also, as I read, had 3 different voice actors providing the voice. And you can absolutely tell that there is a difference in the movie.
Yeah.
There's 3 people that do his voice?
So saying that, this is where it says it. Also, the 3 voices, Arthur was voiced by 3 actors, leading to noticeable changes in voice between scenes, and sometimes within the same scene. Also, the 3 voices have American accents, sharply contrasting with the English setting and the accent spoken by most of the other characters in the film. Marinez of Online Magazine suggests, given that the film is about growing up, this problem might have been overcome, with the 3 voices being interpreted as Arthur's voice development mentally and physically. However, she also notes that the director inexplicably, thank you, chose to leave all 3 voices in for some scenes, drawing attention to the problem that they were not the same actor. She notes that even furthermore that 2 were brothers, the voice actors were brothers, that sounds similar, and the 3rd was not, and sounds distinctly different.
I'm gonna be honest, I couldn't tell.
I just caught it towards the end.
Until you said that, I didn't even know the difference. Now I feel like I gotta watch it again to see if I can hear the differences.
Where I remember it definitely is near the end where Arthur becomes who's his stepbrother? Kay?
Yeah.
Kane?
K.
Kay.
K.
His stepbrother's Kay, who's entering the jousting tournament. Arthur is his squire, and he realizes, he forgot Kay's sword back at the inn. And when he goes back to the inn to retrieve it, the inn is locked. He can't get it. His voice during that is it's deeper. It's so much different than we saw earlier in the movie. And my initial thought was, I wonder if this movie was damaged and Disney had to record some of these lines for some reason, and they just, they couldn't get it quite right. I thought maybe that's what's going on, but it's always been like that. Apparently, the kid's voice just is different during some scenes. It's weird.
You got Disney nerd herders in the house. Hey guys.
Hey.
Or I have to imagine that it's a budget issue, like that. The first kid that started providing the voice, there were some reshoots or they had to re-record stuff, but they couldn't. They were under a time crunch and they couldn't afford to do the whole script, so they just had to do some of it, but they couldn't get the kid again. I don't know.
That's very un-Disney.
Yeah, it is.
Pay closer to attention to something like that, but it is. I'd be willing to watch it again just to see now, how often is that being done.
Yes, me too, because I recognized it at the time, but then as you did, I read a little bit about who provided the voice, and it was 3 different kids doing it. So
I didn't notice that they were the same voice with different accents, because with me being born in England, my mom's British, the English accent is very similar to me. To American, it doesn't sound, some people like listen to my mom and they don't listen to what she's saying. She listens to how she sounds. I just, it sounded natural to me. But then towards the end of the show, I just noticed that they were using an American accent. I'm thinking, wait a minute, why are they using an American accent? So that is something completely different that I'm going to have to look for.
yeah, I have to believe that they did it just so the movie wasn't entirely British, like just to appease the American audience. I don't know.
Treason, the darn colonialists.
One of my fears in the movie was that Merlin, when we're first introduced to Merlin the wizard, he seems a little at first absent-minded or like he's not on top of his game, but I was pleasantly surprised to find out he is actually a great wizard. Not perfect, but what's that?
Yeah, Hermione's bag.
Yeah, he did.
He just put everything in that little bag of his.
But he had to sing a song.
He is a very skilled wizard, and I'm glad about that, because so often I think we've seen that play out a number of times where the wizard can't get it right and stuff goes wrong, like whether it's Maui from the movie Moana, for a while can't get it right, and I'm sure I'm forgetting a bunch of other instances. Harry Potter, when he's learning how to do stuff, can't get the spell quite right. So I was concerned that there would be a whole movie of that, but thankfully it wasn't. He was a very skilled wizard. So I was very happy about that.
That one scene where he's moving everything from his hut into the bag, there is an appearance of Ben from PTV in there, because there's that little sugar thing with the little spoon.
Yeah, and
he cuts in front of the teapot, and all of a sudden turns around and starts smacking, trying to get room in there. And I told Greg, "Hey, there's Ben,"
because Ben always sends us a GIF with Stewie from Family Guy slapping a bear when Derek gets out of tone with his text.
I don't say anything inappropriate. I'm innocent.
I was trying to look up who did Madam Mim's voice, and she did do other character voices, but she wasn't the same one that did the voice in Rocky and Bullwinkle, and then a bunch of other. I don't think she did the witch in the Looney Tunes. She did do the witch in the Trick or Treat with Donald and Huey, Dewey, and Louie, though, and she was the nanny in 101 Dalmatians, and then some other small cartoon roles also.
Great voice, by the way.
Yeah,
great voice. Charlie lists Onward, and that's another instance of Wizard not getting it right. So we just watched that recently, so that's another instance.
Ben just sent me this.
So that's what we see. So it's the same as a little sugar thing hitting with a spoon.
Oh, here, I got it.
I can get it. There we go.
That's what Ben sends you at least 3 times a day. So Arthur, again, I don't want to rehash the entire story, but Arthur meets up with Merlin the wizard, and Merlin is now going to teach Arthur, who is called Wart by his adoptive family. That's awesome. And
he's like a wart on their shoulder, I think. He's more of a pest to them, and he's like the male version of Cinderella, basically.
yeah, I thought that too.
Save Bambi's mom.
Wait, what?
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, he fell on top of Kay when Kay was trying to shoot Bambi's mom. And
That's right. Yes.
Yeah.
That's right. It's the same universe. I knew it.
Yeah, it's all connected.
So Merlin is teaching Arthur because he's uneducated, literally doesn't know how to write. But as he's teaching him, he takes him outside and he's leading him through the forest or whatever. There is a wolf that is
Greg said, "Hey, there's a coyote."
It looked like a coyote to me. He was amazing.
Licking his lips, wanted to eat Arthur, and cannot, because he meets with misfortune every time he tries to bite him. And it's we talked a bit about this before the stream. It was very much like Wile E. Coyote chasing the Roadrunner, and I had the immediate thought as well. I'm happy he didn't catch him.
You feel bad for the guy at times.
Didn't you say
the stuff he went through?
he was like a male Cinderella?
Not the wolf.
No, sorry.
Yeah, I just said that Wart or Arthur was like a male Cinderella because they had him cleaning hundreds of dirty dishes, which makes me think that they're a bunch of slobs that live in that hut or wherever they're living at. Because
the castle.
It had gravy and stuff all over dripping.
And all the magic in the world could not make those plates keep going higher and higher. They remained at a certain level.
Yes, they did.
But again, I was super glad that Merlin's spell to wash the dishes worked and didn't like peter out, or there was some unforeseen complication that came from it. It was a solid spell. It really worked until it was interfered with by Sir Hector. Is that his name?
Sir Hector, the big.
Yeah, the with the red head with the beard. Yeah, stepdad.
Yeah, Hector.
Hector, not Hector.
Hector, yeah, with a name, an I.
Yeah, so again, I was happy about that. Then let's see. So you had the dishes. That spell worked. He made it snow on Hector, and that worked. He would disappear. He was totally in control of his magic, and I found that to be the most enjoyable thing of the movie. It brought me happiness to see that. They didn't lean on that trope of him being unskilled or absent-minded or something. He is the most powerful wizard around.
The fish scene was a big part of it.
Yeah, I like the whole animal transformations that they went through. That was all kinds of fun.
Yeah, I agree. He turned him into a fish, and then a squirrel, and then a bird.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, to teach him different lessons, and I thought that was fun as well.
Well, he kind of put Arthur in harm's way because he
threatened his life. His life was threatened every time. Yes,
safely in the knight helmet thing. Oh, you're all on your own, son. You can beat this pike. It's coming after you, but you got this.
Figure it out. You use your brain. Use your brain, Arthur.
And then the squirrel, and then the same thing happens to him.
Oh,
the squirrel part, we were both like, "Oh, that's so sad," because
we were saying, "Oh, that's gross." At first,
the girl squirrel is like heartbroken after she saves his life. Yeah. He turns back into a human, And then she's like, "Oh my gosh!" And
She's crying.
Yes, it's just heartbreaking.
He goes off in the distance. She climbs on top of a branch. And
It's just
like,
sad.
I'm like, oh my god, that was like the worst scene.
That was I tried to tell you. You know, squirrels don't understand English, right, Arthur?
Yes.
I tried to tell you I'm not a squirrel.
He has to say like Emperor's New Groove.
So then, after a while, we see, as Arthur is a bird, he flies down the chimney of an evil wizard that's called Mad Madam Mim.
Nasty old lady.
Yes, but she's fun. She's kind of fun.
Anyway, yeah.
You know, she's evil. She says she doesn't like sunshine and all that stuff, but you know, she cheats at the wizard battle or whatever. But seemingly, it's all kind of harmless. But she dabbles in black magic. That was kind of addressed earlier. Ector believed Merlin to be dabbling in black magic. But if he would just realize, hey, the dishes are being washed, it's not black magic, it's actually great magic for you. It's cleaning your house through no effort of your own. Embrace it, dude. Embrace it. It's working for you. So anyway, Mim is dabbling in black magic. And when she's demonstrating her magic to Arthur, she says, I can make myself really ugly. And then she gives herself like a hog's snout. And then she said, I can also make myself beautiful. So she makes herself...
was not beautiful, sorry.
Not really beautiful, but more beautiful, I guess. But in that scene, I'm going to go full screen here.
Derek made a comment that we can't say on the show, but it was... I'm like, oh my gosh. That's not beautiful. We'll have to tell you after.
Here is, if I've got this correct. There we go. There's Mim, how she looks normally. And that's her as she made herself more beautiful. And as I'm looking at that, I'll zoom in a little bit if I can.
Marshall looks uneven, poor thing.
Let's see here.
Like she has a sway back.
Yeah. Yeah, say what you want. There's a whole lot going on there. But what I thought, my initial thought during this scene was, oh, Mim is the first person ever to do Disney bounding. Are you familiar with Disney bounding?
Disney bounding?
Yeah, that's when
Disney bounding is the... you can't dress as characters in the parks. And Disney bounding came about as people dressing in the same color scheme as Disney characters, but not exactly dressing as the characters. For example, if you wanted to be a Disney bounder as Buzz Lightyear, you can't go into the parks dressed as an astronaut, but you can wear like a white shirt with like a white hoodie with a purple hood on it or something like that. It's dressing in the same color scheme as these Disney characters. And I thought Mim is the first one to do this. That was my reaction.
Yeah, she looks really drunk it's the left picture for us as the ugly witch. And then her waist looks like it got tied in or something on that smaller. Yeah. I don't know. She was a very interesting character. And you mentioned, was this the whole scene that you talked to us about earlier, where you said that you thought you saw a scene in something else, like a collaboration or something? And I said it was probably when you saw Disney's Halloween Treat, and they showed this whole part where they transform and stuff in that special. Is that what you were talking about?
I think so. Let me explain to everybody. Before the stream, I mentioned to you, I don't remember having seen this movie before, but when it came to the wizard battle, it's Merlin versus Mim, and they were battling each other, turning themselves into different animals, trying to get the better of each other. And I thought, man, that seems familiar. I think I've seen that before. And I've mentioned this before. Before I ever saw Fantasia, I saw a Disney Channel Halloween special where they took scary or dark scenes from different Disney movies and put it together like in an hour-long special. And that's where I saw the Chernobog. That's where I first saw the Night on Bald Mountain scene from Fantasia. And you're saying that wizard battle from Sword in the Stone is also in that same thing, perhaps.
Yeah,
it was in that same Disney Channel special.
Yeah, it was called Disney's Halloween Treat. Excuse me. And we actually have both versions because my mom taped them when I was little off Disney Channel. So there was an 1.5 hour version, and then there was a half-hour version. And I think both of those versions had that scene in it. But yeah, I remember that from growing up. And I hope that they end up putting it on Disney Plus, because that would be really cool if they could do that.
Kind of cool. Yes. So I have seen that before because I've seen the Halloween Treat. So I have seen that before, but that's the only part of the movie I've seen. I've never seen the movie.
I don't remember that scene. That was although I've seen the movie, I don't remember that scene from before.
But that was fun. It was fun to see the wizards doing it adeptly, being experts at their craft, trying to get the better of each other. So that was actually quite fun. That was a fun part of the movie.
She kept being the predator animals, and he was like what a predator would go after all the time. Like she was a snake, he was a mouse. And then the walrus part, he was just like, la-da-da. He blows up from a mouse into a huge walrus and just like sits right on her like it's nothing.
Also, maybe Moana was inspired a bit about that, because there's a scene where he turns into a giant whale to douse the flaming demon god. You know what I'm talking about. So there's a bit of influence, I think, in there. So this movie came out in 1963.
Yeah, a year before Mary Poppins.
Wow. And this, again, the Sherman Brothers wrote the music for it. The songs, rather, not the score.
Correct.
Interesting. Now, also, let's see. Thurl Ravenscroft, that legendary deep voice that we hear so often in the Disney parks or in Disney movies, makes an appearance near the end of this movie as a character named Black Bart or something like that, where he says, "Let the Bart pull a sword." I can't go that deep. Yeah. Hang on. Maybe I can. Here we go.
Let the boy try to pull the sword.
Did that work? I don't even know if that worked.
You sound like Zordon from Power Rangers way back in the day.
Anyway, he's got this awesome deep voice. He's one of the singing busts. He's the one with a really deep voice. He's done so much. He was Tony the Tiger in the Kellogg's Frosted Flakes commercials for years and years and years. He was also...
he was in one of the other movies we just did, because we mentioned that, Tony the Tiger. He was in one of the movies we did last week.
It would have had to have been not Bambi. What was the other one that we...
Treasure Island?
Treasure
he was
Island.
not Treasure Island, I don't think.
Yeah, he was, I thought, because you mentioned Tony the Tiger.
Well, he's also the voice of Buff, the buffalo in the Country Bear Jamboree. Oh, he's actually the first voice you hear in that attraction. Hey, Henry! Oh, well. Taylor, good to see you. Thanks you for stopping by. And Downscale. Did I say hi to Downscale?
We did earlier.
Hey. So if you're just joining us, we're talking about The Sword in the Stone, because I haven't seen it before.
Around us. Sorry, it's a little loud.
Okay, so again, much like my problem with Dumbo, in that we don't get to see Dumbo until 5 minutes before the movie ends. We don't get to see Arthur even touch the sword in the stone 5 minutes and 48 seconds before the end of the movie. So, and I know that that's the climax, but again, we're all familiar with that story. In the movie is about his apprenticeship. It's not apprenticeship. He's just a tutor of Merlin's. But it's just interesting. We don't get to see the sword in the stone. We get to see it at the very beginning of the movie and then the very end of the movie, and that's about it.
Well, he didn't go to until the end of the movie, so that kind of makes sense, I guess.
I suppose it does. It's just, I guess I want to see Arthur be king. I want him to be
you want more
revered more instead of just somebody that's given 4 more demerits. You know what I mean?
It was interesting because if you think about it, King Arthur or Merlin, what he could see into the future. So
he saw
obviously
everything.
he knew that he was going to be the king, and he was trying to develop him by doing all these different characters. But it was kind of funny at the end of the movie, after he was king, King Arthur was trying to run away, and every door he went out
I
of,
was thinking
hell
about-
the king!
Yes, and that blew the owl backwards.
And it was only when he called for Merlin, because Merlin went
To
into
Bermuda,
in the 20th century, he went to Bermuda.
came back with Hawaiian clothes and everything.
Yes. When he needed him, he came back to help him too. So I don't know why he just couldn't say, "Oh yeah, go over to the yard here and pull out the sword. You're going to be king. I'll help you."
Because he had to be worthy.
He had to be, and he had to learn
suppose.
lessons.
Yes.
Um,
And break a scroll.
Also, Downscale mentions Thurl Ravenscroft, the deep voice guy we were just talking about, is one of the Tiki Room birds. I think I read that too. Yeah. What else? Okay. At the end of the movie, after Arthur pulls the sword from the anvil, he is revisited by Merlin, because Merlin left, and Merlin comes back from present day or 20th century Bermuda.
Yep.
And he's dressed in Bermuda shorts, an aloha shirt, a ball cap, and it really reminded me of when the genie returns at the end of Aladdin, and he's wearing the goofy cap.
Yeah.
Downscale just put that on there.
Oh, he just said the same thing. Yes.
Oh, alien. That's cool.
Well, it's interesting too. You say that from like similarities, because the fish, when Arthur was a fish, he reminded me of a young Nemo.
Yeah.
I think that too. Yes. Yes. I think this movie has inspired. It has inspired more Disney movies than I realized.
And then we were saying the falling apart little tower they were in.
Oh, that horrible thing.
It
that he
looked
was
like
saying.
Rapunzel's tower.
Agreed. Papa
I don't know
Moses,
why-
you're welcome.
Oh, hey,
Welcome,
Papa-
Papa Mozo.
I don't know why he couldn't use magic to kind of like put more bricks and make it more sturdier. I mean, the least little movement made that thing sway back and forth. I'd be afraid for my life in that thing.
He was such a great musician, but
A musician.
magician, but he couldn't figure out how to seal up a rooftop that was leaking.
Yes, it was
Yeah,
hilarious.
That would be small potatoes for him. Like he could just do it like that. But whatever.
Stick it out with those umbrellas and everything.
Scale of 1 to 10. What did you guys think of The Sword in the Stone?
Well, I wanted to mention really quick the animation. I really like how the animation looks. It reminded me a lot of how they drew 101 Dalmatians. It looked very rough, like rough cut, not too clean, which is fine.
It's kind of with the style of the 60s.
Yeah, I really liked how that looked.
I thought that same thing, and it also reminded me of the Pink Panther cartoons as well.
Well, and one thing I mentioned to Greg is that, like in the background, they weren't as detailed. So
Yeah.
it was more of an impression, kind of like
The
you
character
you
was
knew
more
there was
detailed.
like pots and vases, but they were roughly drawn.
Mhm.
So that was a different style than what Disney had done before.
Anything that moved was more like in your face, more cleaner, I guess, or brighter. But yeah, I like the animation. For me,
Wow. Disney Universe give it a 7.5.
wow. Yeah, I would say 7 to 8 for me. I liked it a lot, actually. Kind of middle ground, the same as Dumbo, like I was saying. But Dumbo was a lot cleaner animation, you could tell.
I enjoyed this movie more than Dumbo. I like the sword, the King Arthur history. One of the things Greg and I went to when we went back to England, Tintagel, I think they call it.
Potato.
And I went when I was a kid in the 70s, and Greg and I went back, 2017. We went to the place where they had supposedly King Arthur's castle and also Merlin's cave. So I love that story. I'm fascinated with it. But I give it a 7. I thought it was pretty good. It wasn't one of the better stories, but I enjoyed it. I thought it was good.
I think I'm giving it a 7 also. I liked it, and I'm glad I did. I was happy. It was more fun maybe than I expected. I didn't know what to expect, but I liked Merlin a lot. I liked his character. I'm glad he was a skilled wizard again. I like that Arthur, was much like Cinderella. He was the step brother, but he didn't let it get him down. He always seemed kind of upbeat and positive. Maybe he knew there was more in life in store for him or something. But I liked that Mim. She was bad, like she was evil, but she was ultimately harmless. I mean, this movie was more fun than I expected. So, 7 for me as well. I enjoyed it.
I liked how he stood up to his stepfather, even though his stepfather kept saying, whatever number of demerits, and then you could see tears rolling down his eyes, and then he kind of finally gave in and was like, "Yes, sir." And then at the end, when he became king, he's like, "Forgive me, son," and and Derek was saying, like now he knows he's in trouble. He's like, "Oh, I worship the ground you walk on," and all this stuff kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, but I think, and then Kay, I think, kind of in his mind, he kind of grew up as well. Like, okay, well, this is my king now, so what am I gonna do? So he had more respect.
Yeah, PTV gives it an 8.
It's a good movie, fun movie.
Yes, agreed.
I always equate the Mad Madam Mim part with the Halloween treat show. I love that show as well.
I think
And now I will too.
this was Walt Disney's last movie, because I always thought it was a Jungle Book. I always associate that as maybe it was the last one that he did, like that was in production while he was living.
That's another rough drawn movie too.
Yeah. So knowing now that this was the last one he put input on, it adds more to it.
Mm-hmm.
It was the last one he was listed as a producer for, correct?
Yes.
And maybe after this one, because he didn't pass away for another 3 years, maybe he was focused on his Florida project, and he let other people in the company produce.
Yeah.
Not sure.
So says Muzzle loves Mim. That was a really, really fun character.
Yeah.
Agreed. Though it was interesting that the way, spoiler alert, the way Merlin got the better of her in the wizard battle was he made himself a germ and infected her.
Yeah.
But then after he became himself again, she was still sick. So, like, what's going on there?
Yeah.
It's a long germ that takes a while to get rid of.
I guess so. But I digress. Okay, so thank you guys. This was the second installment of More Explorers Please, where I'm trying to get through my list of movies I hadn't seen before. Again, let me put that up here. We're getting through it. I'm about so I have 6 of them down. I forgot to make Sword in the Stone. I forgot to change the color there. Now, some of these I really, I don't know if I'm interested in seeing the High School Musical movies, but and all the straight to video sequels. I don't know. Maybe we can do one of those, but
well, between these 2 movies, it looks like we all like Sword in the Stone more than Dumbo.
Yeah, I think so. Definitely for me.
What did you give it, Jim?
Same as you, 7. Yeah.
You still got some fun movies left.
Yeah. Now next Saturday, that is a 5 Foolish Mortals. Is that the plan?
Yep. So we'll do it for the week after, probably.
Okay. All right. Do you have a couple of suggestions there? Here, I'll go full screen. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
How rude of me.
I would probably say the Fox and the Hound and a Goofy movie.
Okay.
I really think you need to see a Goofy movie. It's really a father and son type movie. I think you would even enjoy it watching it with your son if he hasn't seen it. I think you both would like it. It's pretty hilarious.
Good to know. Eventually, I'll get to most all of those. But so in 2 weeks, we'll talk about Fox and the Hound and a Goofy movie. All right. And then, speaking of 5 Foolish Mortals, the show that we do with Charlie from Disney Nerd Herders and Ben from Pepper Tree Villa, that will be next Saturday, a week from today, at 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific, on the Disney Nerd Herders channel. So we'll post more about that in the coming week. And then what's coming up for you guys on the D&G Explorers channel?
Well, real quick,
one.
I want to say for those that are watching, Jim is going on extra right now. We're trying to help support him.
Boost up his hours.
Yeah, he's got over 1,000 subscribers.
And he's a great guy anyway, so he needs to be on more.
So he's over 1,000 subscribers, along with the Disney Nerd Herders. But they are trying to get their hours. So in order for you to be monetized, you have to have 4,000 watched hours. So they're in the process of getting it. So if you guys can watch an additional video, if you're able to watch a playlist, share out their channel to have people watch it. It'll help them out in order for them to get monetized, because that's one of the biggest steps in YouTube, and one of the big goals is to get monetized. So you're almost there, Jim. So congratulations on that.
Pepper Tree Villa played a whole. I think they played all of his videos, like playlist, even overnight, just to boost up his hours, which was really cool of them.
So if you can, Jim, that would be awesome.
Thank you guys for mentioning that. It's Charlie. Disney Nerd Herders are much closer than I am. They're only a couple 100 hours away. So that's just a night of playing their playlist and while you sleep away. If a few people did that, just play their videos and then go to bed. You don't even have to watch them.
You can enjoy them too if you'd like. It's a good channel.
You could. I don't want to. I encourage you to watch Disney Nerd Herders. You can play mine while you sleep. That makes no sense. But
you know how far
they're only a couple 100 hours away. I'm 2/3 of the way there. I'm at 66%.
Okay.
So I'm getting there. I've made great progress in the last few weeks, and every little bit helps. So there's a playlist on my channel called Everything on Our Channel, which
Is everything
has everything on our channel. So that's a playlist. You can just play the first video and it will autoplay the next one and the next one, and it just keeps going. So you don't even have to do anything. You can just let your computer do all the work. So thank you for mentioning that. That's nice. Yes.
For us, we have
So Disney show,
and it's going to be kind of an open forum. So we thought, let's just kind of change up our format a little bit. We are going to have, what do we call it, Greg? We call it Cheesecake Chat with Puppetry Villa. So the boys are going to be joining us this Wednesday.
are you trying to make us like a Golden Girls thing with
Pretty much.
cheesecake?
Yep. So we are going to be having cheesecake.
God.
We're going to be answering questions from you guys.
And a cup of coffee or tea to go with it.
So
Maybe some ice cream.
cruise questions, Disney questions. That's what we're going to be doing that in a couple of weeks. After that, we got a lot of channels lined up. What's coming on? Who's going to be coming on our show? So Chad Cruisers are going to be on the week after that. If everything goes right, I probably shouldn't announce it yet, but so we have a lot of stuff.
We're talking with them. I know that they're having some computer issues right now, so they have to see first, about getting that done.
And then we should have a video put out this coming week of we're trying to get rid of. We're trying to finish
We're just trying to get rid of it.
Escape vlogs. They're C days at this point because we just finished our last excursion. But we have some fun stuff.
It's just been dragging on. We need to get rid of this.
And then we have our Star Wars Day at Sea cruise on the Disney Fantasy that we have coming up after that.
It's going to be fun.
Yeah.
It was fun.
That's what we have coming up.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much for joining me here, helping me out. This is fun. I like watching these movies. I like discussing them with you as well. And I really like that people join us in the chat and talk about it as well. It's great fun. So we'll do this again in 2 weeks. We'll talk about Fox and the Hound and a Goofy movie. Next Saturday at 5 p.m. Eastern, we'll be on Disney Nerd Herders channel for the Five Foolish Mortals, the next installment of that. Details to follow. And I want to thank everybody for being here and watching the show. I will be on next, I believe, Tuesday, my regular time slot, 7:30 Eastern, right here on my channel for my normal weekly live stream. And then I'm working on a video for Dean from the Live Place. He's got a viral video challenge, so I have an idea for a video that I thought might be fun to do for that. So, like, what makes a viral video? How does that happen? It's all luck, I think, but and it's got to be good too. But so I'm going to do something for that. Hopefully, I can work on that this week. And then Disney Nerd Herders only need 124 more watch hours, and then they're eligible for monetization. So that's pretty awesome.
I don't think we said hi to you for Wisdom Videos. Hello.
Hey.
They were here at the very beginning. Yes. But yes, always hello. And thank you so much for being here. All right, everybody. Have a great Saturday. Ending broadcast. See you soon. Thanks, D&G. Again. Bye, everybody.